I'd never been to Wyoming before, but I didn't really know what to expect. And because I'd passed through the Rockies, I knew I wasn't going back in the Rockies, no more bears to worry about. So the first spot I stopped was this place called Tongue River near Dayton, Wyoming. And it's sort of like up north, and it was like unbelievable. Like it's mainly grasslands, but like you tuck into this little canyon that goes along this creek, and it goes from sort of like dry grassland to almost like Sedona red rock, which like you'll see in the videos I have. Like there's this one of like this eye, this like little slot in the red rock that's up in the cliffs. Just amazing, right? But totally a mix of environments. Like there's this creek there that kind of goes up. So first of all, you come out of the grasslands kind of, and then you're in this red rock zone, and then you're like in this like forest zone, like trees, like pine trees and shit like that. Sorry, I swore. And then you come up into this big grassland bowl. It feels like Knutsford. And when I went up there, man, like I walked up there, I was just like, that might have been the most in the zone I've been all trip. Like I remember just sitting, like looking back down towards the canyon, and in this spot, the grassland, like kind of a bowl around me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like it feels like a throne. Like it just, but like this sort of like non-competitive, non-authoritarian vibe from just like, oh, it was so good. Like I know it sounds hippie, but I'm saying it was awesome. Totally dug that spot. Super amazing. Stayed there 2 nights. The second day, I think it was the second day. Maybe I stayed there 3 nights. Anyway, I went up to the other side of the place, and there was like a cave. Never been in a cave before. And this guy was up there with this little kid. It was really cool. And so like we went in, and I actually sold the guy my flashlight. Yeah, because I still had my headlamp for it, right? So making money. Yeah, but the cave was cool, and then came back down. And then the next spot I went to was this land bridge site in Montana, and that's further down by Cheyenne, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, no, by Douglas, Wyoming. So it's called Ayers Natural Bridge, and it's a lot like the Ayers Rock or Ayers Rock, wherever it is in Australia. It's like, again, they're total grasslands, like nothing fancy. You tuck down this little road into this campsite that they have like a guy who takes care of it. It's totally free. You can stay up for 3 nights. It's like actually the best camp spot I've been in terms of like niceness and accommodations. Like I've been on this whole trip. I mean, there's nowhere really to hike, so that was kind of like, I only stayed there 1 night before I went to Colorado. But total red rock, just gorgeousness. And the reason why it's called Natural Land Bridge is because there's a creek that flows through an archway of red rock. And this is all free. Like it's totally free. You can stay for 3 nights. Perfect for my tent. Like it was genius. It was so good. I was almost like, I should stay here another night. But like I say, couldn't do any hiking, so I was like, whatever. This will be the one I do 1 night. And then in the morning, I think like there's this kids in the truck, and they like offered me like, you know, Jack Daniels or something like that. And I had to be like, sorry dude, like don't drink. I'm still not drinking. But it was like a funny kickoff to the day down to Colorado. So I headed down from Wyoming through sort of Fort Collins to a place called Superior, Colorado, which is very near to Boulder. And you know, I'd actually never been to Colorado before, or Wyoming, but Colorado like blew my mind. In my mind, I always thought of Colorado as very green. Everything's tucked into the mountains and little nooks and crannies, and it's like very foresty, but that's not true. Basically, like Denver and Boulder even, they're all on a big plain. It's like right where the plains of America meet the Rockies. It's a very weird setting. So basically, it's completely flat grasslands, and then on the very edge of it, the towns don't go into it. Boulder or Denver or Superior, they don't go into it. You've got the beginning hills of the Rockies. So if you're right in Boulder tucked in, you might feel kind of like you're in the hills or mountains, but really it's like a big plain, which when I first got there to Superior, I was like, oh, this isn't very cool. But then on my return trip, like later on I'll tell you about that, it was a gorgeous day. It was more the fall, and the light and the grassland looked, oh my God, it was just amazing. But anyway, so I get to Superior. My buddy Shiloh from my university team, I hadn't seen him in like 10 years, or maybe more. So he rides up on this little pink like kick bike thing that he's utilizing to improve his form for running, because he's still running a bit. And he's in this sort of like apartment complex thing, like total suburban type zone, because he's pushing dents there. It's his business. They basically, like, massive hailstorms will happen in places like Europe or Colorado happened this past summer, and he and his family are in this business, and they basically have these tools and they push up the dents, and he makes ridiculous money for doing this. Like it's actually a fairly precision type thing, but the way, if you watch him do it, there's no like sort of, doesn't look like any electronics. It's just like him sort of like using this, but he gets paid big bucks. So anyways, he's in Colorado doing this because there's a lot of hailstorms there over the summer or whatever, with his brother, his younger brother. So I stayed with them. I was there for like, I think, 4 or 5 days. This was like mid-August. We did some running in the hills. I got a little video of me and Shiloh sort of tucked into the Rockies at the start. Anyway, we left after about 5 days and drove all the way to St. Louis, which I think there was that thing in Ferguson about the kid who'd been shot by the police officer, and I think his funeral was like the morning that we were leaving St. Louis, but like we were like 10 miles away from it, so no, we didn't have any encounters with any of that stuff, but we stayed in St. Louis. When we got to St. Louis, man, it was just like, I think it was like 10 hours to St. Louis. Shiloh drove, of course, because it was stick, and I can't drive stick. We got to St. Louis, it was like, I think like close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so like 35, 40 degrees or something like that, Celsius. And like almost 100% humidity. Like we stepped out of the car, which Shiloh had the air conditioning on. I don't do that, but he did. And it was like coming into a sauna. Like, and I was like, yes, because I just been in air conditioning. It felt so good to me. But it was a bit much. But so we had a hotel room there, and then we drove the next day all the way to Asheville. So I think it's like all in all, I think it's like a 20-hour drive. So we split it into 2 days, and not much to say about the traveling, like because we're in a car, so you see the countryside. And again, it's sort of like this like grassland, no big forest or anything like that. But as you come into near Asheville, it's kind of crazy. It's like you get into these sort of like, I guess the Appalachians, the mountain range out there, and it's like pine needle, like coniferous forest. But it actually feels a lot like when you're coming through that region of Hope, sort of heading into the Fraser Valley, like the way the road winds. I think that might have been in Kentucky or something, I don't know. I'll show you kind of on the map all the different states we went through, the route we took.